Let's begin with rider questions answered. Producer Logan has a new graphic on here. That's a good looking Photoshop. I got my neck to match up. A little bit too thick of a neck. I don't think I have a fat all neck situation there. I do like the E equals MC Hayabusa logo on there too, but or not logo, the formula. So yeah, let's get started, okay? Subawoo WRX2 on Discord asked me, and I think some of you on chat asked about this. Do you think the updates to the MT07 make it viable in the class, or is it just on par now? I think it's a great update, and the new look finally nailed the styling. So, lots to say here about the MT07, right? The MT07 was a bike that was starting to look a little long in the tooth. The 698cc, or is it 689? 689cc parallel twin, the crossplane, the CP2 platform, 75 horse, 50 foot-pounds of torque. They launched it in 2013. It was just a phenomenal engine. Phenomenal, just like silly, wheelie happy, fun naked bike. You could ride on the street, cheap, get one, goof around with it, great time, great sound. But the category has moved on, right? Hornet 750, GSX 8S, 210 660 to an extent. That's a much more expensive motorcycle. More horsepower or more torque or bigger engines or bigger features. The MT07 started looking a little old. So they gave it with, I believe it's new upside-down suspension, upside-down forks up at the front, a new TFT, rider modes. They sell it in an automatic now, which is crazy. That automatic actually has cruise control, which I'm like, well, why didn't you put cruise control in the manual one? I would have loved that. I thought that was a really strange thing. And it's a really exciting update. They made the frame more rigid too, which, dude, I love that update specifically because the MT07 was notable for being soft and having slop and just like wallowing around. But it did wheelies good and it was fun to ride and peppy and we could kind of forgive it. But yeah, this is a great update. I mentioned this on a different stream where I talked about the MT07 and I said that all that they needed to do was just inject a little bit of R7 into the MT07 and call it a day. They added more tech to it and they added more features than I'd expected to. And they kept it extremely lightweight, which is great. I think the bike weighs a little, like literally like 3 pounds over 400, like 400 pounds dead even, basically. So I think they really nailed it. I didn't think they needed to add a bigger engine, to be honest. The MT07 never felt slow. It never felt, like it wasn't torquey enough. And the 689 is super reliable. So for me, I think it's a great update. And I love that it looks really good now. I'm so happy that the new MT bikes look really good. I'm just waiting for the MT10 to get that styling update. I'm going to get one as a giveaway bike because they're just finally really, really cool. So that's some thoughts on the new MT07 and pretty exciting stuff. All right, General Potato on Discord. Great username as well. I'm looking to get into street bikes and have a lot of off-road experience on a 2022 YZ450F. I have the opportunity to get this 2023 Royal Enfield Hunter 350 for $2K. I know it's slow, but I'm wondering if I should look for a faster bike that would last me longer. I have a lot of experience, so I was thinking about going to a 600 right away, but I don't know at the moment. Okay, if you are used to riding a 2022 YZ450F, which, if memory serves me correctly, is a 450cc sort of cross-country enduro like off-road motorcycle. It's not the motocross bike because I think that's the R. My knowledge on those is a little limited, but either way, that's a competition 450cc dirt bike. Those are serious business. You are going to be incredibly bored with the 2023 Royal Enfield 350. I think that you should go for the middleweight naked category. It's a little bit more upright, a little bit more similar to your dirt bike that you are used to. And I think that if you were to get something like that, it would just last you a little bit longer. I wouldn't recommend getting a 600 right away because it's ergonomically super different than your dirt bike. I really think that getting, maybe a street triple or an MT09 would be a great street bike for you to get. Even an FC07, something like that. So that would be my recommendations, especially since you have a lot of off-road experience. A Royal Enfield Hunter 350. I mean, I know it's a low price, but you're going to be painfully bored with that thing, honestly. That's just my recommendation, though. I am Halfsack on Discord has asked me, I don't have a bike yet, but I got my mind set on a ZX4RR. Any tips or pointers for starting on this bike as my first sport bike? So this is an interesting one, and I'm actually curious. I'm going to run a poll here because I feel like this is a poll question. I'm going to ask you guys, is the ZX4RR a beginner bike? And I want to ask this because I really struggled to figure this out when I had a ZX4RR as a giveaway bike. Here's the weird thing. A Kawasaki ZX4RR on the website, they listed as like beginner rider appropriate. And I'm like, well, sort of. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of expensive. In stock form, it barely makes peak power. It makes like 58 horsepower to the tire, I think. It's not that fast. And most importantly, it doesn't make a ton of torque down low. So for I Am Half Sack on Discord, I think this is a good option, mostly because it doesn't make a ton of torque, right? One of the scariest things about getting on a powerful motorcycle, especially as someone who doesn't have much experience, is you whack the throttle, it's a ton of torque, you get little wheelie pops, and you get a little scared of the bike, right? Whiskey throttle it to get away from you. You almost literally cannot do that with the CX4. I remember I was just doing silly stuff with it off camera when I had it as a giveaway bike, and I just whacked the throttle. It didn't do anything that scary. So I would say perhaps maybe wait a little bit to get the ECU flash to unlock the full power. It does add about 20 wheel horsepower, so it's quite a bit. I'm assuming you're US based. If you're not US based, none of what I just said applies. And I would say that, you know, if you have the budget for it, just know that it's a bike that you're probably going to keep for a while, because it kind of has, you know, like bigger bike presence. It sounds like a big bike. It kind of feels like a big bike. So I think it's one that you're going to keep for a little bit longer. And even better, when you jump on a ZX6 or a, you know, God forbid a ZX10, don't do that, but a ZX6, for example, it's just going to feel the same, but just more, which is cool. So that would be my recommendation on this question. Looks like you guys said 53% yes. So you're pretty split, right? Like pretty split on whether or not it's a beginner bike, right? I don't know either, honestly. Okay. Rocky Rambo on YouTube asked me this question. Have I ever had buyer's remorse on a bike? Now, this is a great question, and I feel like a lot of people out there in the great wide world of YouTube and motorcycling have maybe thought that they would have a good time on a motorcycle, a specific bike. Let's say they wanted to get an R1, or they wanted to get a big touring bike, or whatever it is, and then they were kind of like, oh man, this isn't really what I was looking for. It happens more often than you think, because motorcycles are so different. The only time I got close to this was when I started riding my desert sled more off-road. This was back in 2020. Yeah, that's when I started really riding it off-road. I started dabbling in 2019 with it off-road a little bit. But in 2020, I did a lot of stuff. And I kind of had this feeling like, oh man, like this isn't really the right tool for the job. But that's when I started getting more involved with lighter weight dirt bikes, and I started dabbling with some other stuff that was a little bit more lightweight and fun off-road, and I realized I just had the wrong tool for the job. That's the only time I came close to buyer's remorse with a motorcycle that I purchased personally. I don't think of any other bike. I haven't bought a personal bike in a while. I just got that Touareg 660, but that was a little different because Aprilia basically gifted me the bike, so I feel great with what I spent on that motorcycle. I just paid tax and dock fees, but I would say that no, I actually haven't. The desert sled was the closest I got, but only in that one specific way, to be honest. You know, weirdly enough, for as many giveaway bikes as I buy, I am incredibly stingy and very cautious with buying personal motorcycles, because I know that it can be a bit of a hassle. Okay, buyer's remorse on a bike. To be honest, when I turboed the Busa, by the end of it, I had buyer's remorse. I was like, why did I do this? I'm glad I made some videos out of it and had some fun with it, but man, I was really ready to call it a day on that bike. So let's keep it moving here. Okay, IT Pirate. It's just that time of year. I love the end of the year because we get all the new bikes and everyone wants to know what I think about them. And this one, I don't have too much of an opinion on. This question is first impression on the new Tiger 800. So Triumph just released their new sport touring offering, the Tiger Sport 800, not to be confused with the Tiger 850 Sport, which is different, and I don't understand why you would have both those motorcycles in the lineup at the same time, because I was even confused trying to read this press release. It features a new 798cc triple that makes like 115 horsepower, I think, reasonably well priced. I really hate that the screen that they put on that bike is like it's from the Trident 660. It looks incredibly low budget. I've actually kind of been a little disappointed with Triumph's kind of cheapness in general. It really feels like their newest bikes are just kind of a little cheap, to be honest. The Daytona 660 to me just felt very plasticky, very cheap. It really feels like they're trying to hit a price point. Yeah, I just feel like the new Tiger 800, to me, it's not that exciting, because if you're going to get a 3-cylinder sport touring thing, the Tracer 9 is always there, and the Tracer 9 is the cream of the crop, and it's a phenomenal motorcycle. So yeah, I don't know. I think the Tiger 800, Tiger Sport 800 is a bit of a miss, just because it doesn't seem to have that much technology or features for the price. And I think that, IT Pirate on here actually commenting on the question. That's pretty cool. There's too many Tigers in the lineup, and I agree. There's way too many. There was the 900, there was the 850, there's the 1200, the Rally Pro, the GT, now this Tiger 660 and the 800. I'm like, guys, you can't have 19 different Tigers. Start calling them different stuff. I think they should make a sport touring thing and then an adventure thing and just call them different bikes. I really think the Tiger name should be used for the ADV bike, because that's what it was historically, and then come up with something for the sport touring bike. Maybe we could finally bring back the Sprint name. Maybe we could finally just call it the Sprint, because that's what it should be, right? I don't know. That's just my take on it as a Triumph simp. Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying this Yammie Noob Livestream clip. Remember, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube, I do the streams. If you want a chance to participate in the live streams, head over to yammie.co and become a member. You'll get access to our Discord server, automatic entries to win our giveaway motorcycles, and access to our newsletter as well. It's a great way to support the show. It's like a bike night that never ends over there. It's a lot of fun, and I'm on there all the time. Join as a member on yammie.co and support the show. Easy Crepe on YouTube has asked, time to replace my brake lines. Interesting, before pads or anything else, maybe whatever. Are steel braided lines overkill for the street? Just trying to put in something that will last a little longer. Thanks. Good question. The main reason to upgrade your brake lines over the stock hoses, if you have them, is traditionally a lot of motorcycles utilize rubber hoses. Now, rubber hoses are great in terms of their cost, right? They're very cheap to put on motorcycles, even though I don't see them that often on bikes nowadays. But one of their poor properties is that they tend to expand under heat, under very heavy braking. As the fluid heats up, the rubber hoses expand, right? Steel braided lines do not expand, and so that gives you better braking feel when it gets hotter, the fluid and the temperatures. When the brake hose expands with that rubber, it's more surface area, more volume. It just changes the way that it feels on the lever, and it kind of sucks. It gets kind of squishy. You get brake fade. It doesn't work very well. Steel braided lines, if you don't have ABS, is a super simple swap. You literally just pop off the 2 banjo bolts, assuming you have a single caliper. Just put the new line in, bleed the line, call it a day. If you have ABS, it's a little bit more annoying, because you got to go from the brake master cylinder to the module, back to the caliper, fish that through the existing lines that you had before. However, I would say, because I'm a bit of a degen, right? Let's be real here. If you're going to swap out the lines, I would say just nuke the ABS in the front anyways. You're going to get way better feel on the front. Look, having ABS is great, obviously, but I think that if you're looking at getting steel braided lines, just go direct. Makes a big difference. All right, Fresh and Toasty on Discord. Ninja 500 SE to a RS660 or a Street Triple RS? Great question. Tough question to answer. That's actually really difficult. Okay, let's take it from the bare, just like specs, right? Both of them cost about $12,000-ish brand new. If you were to get a Street Triple, you're getting way more bang for buck, right? The Street Triple is going to cost about that $12,000, but it's going to give you way more power and torque and an extra cylinder too. So on the face of it, you would say the Street Triple RS is a superior motorcycle. The Street Triple RS also has a honest to God sport bike frame. It's based on the 2013 plus Daytona frame. They haven't changed it too much. They've made a couple tweaks here and there, so it handles like an absolute dream. The RS660 has the new aluminum twin spar frame. Feels really great, but not quite as dialed in as a Street Triple. The Street Triple feels really, really proper. The only reason I would say to get an RS660 over the Street Triple would be if you really like the fully fared look. If you think the RS660 looks like a really cool bike, then you should do it. Because really, I think that the Street Triple is a superior motorcycle in virtually every way. The motorcycle has better street manners, I think, better torque. It works just as well on a racetrack, if not better. It's a little bit more upright, making it comfortable. So I would say get the Street Triple RS. I think it's a superior motorcycle, the RS660. Tarnished Squid on YouTube asked a funny question. Why are R6 people so cringe? That's actually hilarious. I don't know if it's like R6s find their owners or that the owners find their R6s, but it is hilarious that R6 people are some of the most vocal, like diehard, insane enthusiasts that the motorcycling community has to offer. I don't really know why. I find that R6 people, because they can buy the bikes typically so cheap, but because the bike is appreciated a little bit, they think that they have like the greatest motorcycle known to man. And it's a great bike. It's a good bike. You know, the R6 is very winning on track if you know what you're doing. It's a really fun bike. I think R6 people are kind of like, how do I phrase this without sounding mean? They think that because they can rev to 16,000 RPM that they're better than everybody. And I don't think that that's necessarily true. And I also find people who have only ever owned an R6, I tend to have a very narrow view of motorcycling. So that would be my only thing. And I can already see that I've made some people mad here in the comments. I'm so sorry. Battle said that he loved his R6, and I do apologize for that. All right, Nick Caravias on Instagram asked me, is the T7 still the best middleweight ADV option, including reliability? Now, I may not be the best person to answer this because I own a Touareg 660, and I will stand for the Touareg 660, and I think it's the best ADV bike of all time, blah, blah, blah. But that's just because I own one and I'm an idiot, right? But I think the T7 is objectively one of the best options in the category. It's Yamaha build quality and reliability. It's bulletproof. It works extremely well. It sounds cool. It's a really solid bike. And I think that they just work really great. And if you're looking at a middleweight ADV option and you want something that's just going to be absolutely bulletproof, a T7 is really hard to argue with. It's a very, very solid motorcycle. Even though I do think the Touareg 660 just has that little extra pizzazz and flavor. Had some funny comments here on chat. Says, all sport bike riders under 40 are pretty cringe, says Justin. They act and live cringe. I think that it can be excused if you're 22 and you're acting a little cringe with your bike or whatever, being a little silly. But yeah, I would say if you're like 38 years old and you have an R6 and you're like commenting about how great it is on like an Instagram post, I don't know. I think you need to get a job or something. Street and Peaks on Instagram. Is it more fun to go fast on a slower bike or to go fast on a fast bike? V2 versus V4 question mark. So neither the V2 or the V4 is a slow bike. So I'm not sure why that was included on here. But obviously, when the situation calls for it, fast on a fast bike is always the best. I've always loved going fast on fast bikes, but you can't always go fast on a fast bike. So I prefer having a slower bike that I can go fast with sometimes, because realistically on road, that's all you can really do. And I believe we're talking about road here. If we talked about track, it would be maybe a little bit different. Lou Cole says he's 23, so it's fully acceptable. That's hilarious. Go for 5. Thanks for featuring me on the comments video a few days ago. I get where you're coming from now with your AV preferences. Still disagree with it, but appreciate it and respect it. Well, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I don't remember specifically what comments you wrote, but perhaps it was about the GS or something like that. But thanks for being here, and thanks for hitting me back on that one. Appreciate it. All right, boys, those are the questions. I think we did a pretty good job. And as a reminder, if you want to join the community, ask me more questions, hang out with everybody else, definitely join on yammie-noob.co, become a member. I highly recommend it. Seriously, it's like the best thing about the whole Yammie Noob universe. I still check in on the Discord every day. I do drive-bys on people, goof around with people. It's a ton of fun, and I really, really enjoy it. So definitely join up on there if you haven't yet. Wake up! You're dreaming! You're dreaming! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! None of this is real! None of it's real! None of it's real! Wake up! Keep watching Yammie Noob.